Yes, it's still March 10th, 2013, and I have to do another one of these. So many things are happening. I'm going to try to talk to you without my sunglasses on. The sun's in a bad spot, but it's a little overcast, so maybe it'll work. You know, I could talk about crazy things. You'd think I'm nuts, like goats can weave spider webs. Isn't that ridiculous? That's what it sounds like sometimes, isn't it? Just way off my rocker and I don't know what I'm talking about. So instead of philosophizing here, I think I'll just throw some things out to you, kind of like I did on the list to study for yourself. I'll mention a few things, but we'll just go from here. The first is kind of from a scripture, and it's in Genesis. And it's when Lucifer, beguiles Eve, and because of that, Adam partakes of the forbidden fruit as well, and the whole earth falls, right? Well, there was a curse in there, if you remember. Two of them, actually. Three of them, actually. The first curse was to Lucifer, Satan, whatever you want to call it, the adversary, the serpent. And what did God say to him? He said, I will put enmity between your seed and the seed of the woman. You shall have power to bruise his heel, but he shall have power to crush thy head. Ladies and gentlemen, when you really look at it, the beguiling of Eve, the woman kind of followed this guy, right? And did what he wanted. And then Adam followed his wife into doing the same thing. Now, I'm going to take you somewhere here where it's not going to make much sense, but I just want you to think about it. Remember I told you that these leaders, these elitists, and all of their minions are misogynists and they hate women? That's in that first curse. Do you see it? Satan's side despises the woman and seeks to beguile her, destroy her, and by that get to the man. I'm just throwing it out there. These men that are in these elitist groups, and I did a video today on the Southern Poverty Law Center. You got to have people like that always got to play with you. And I want you to go look at the guy that's on the clip, the guy Mark Potok. Think about him while you watch him. I'll bet you he doesn't like women. And I don't mean just normally. I mean, he probably has a loathing for them, this misogynist attitude. Oh, they'll have fun with women. They'll use them for their taking care of their urges and all that, but to really love them, they don't. They surely don't like their kids. Just throwing that out there. Okay, I saw a thing in the New York Times today. I want you to go look these things up. It says that the gun rate, ownership rate, is falling behind over what it was, say 10 or 20 years ago. I think this is a PSYOP article because it isn't true. All right, there are actually more guns in the hands of people today than there were in the past. Now, the New York Times was quoting a pollster or somebody who called households and asked them, well, let me ask you a question. If you had guns and you know all the things that are going on with it right now, and somebody asked you, do you have guns in your home? Are you going to say yes? Why do you think the gun rate per household is going down when they do these polls? Because people aren't admitting they've got them. It's kind of funny, It's amazing to me. Now, I also want to talk about, there are a lot of gun companies that are refusing to sell to government agencies at the city, county, and state level. I haven't heard anything much about the national level, but they should do it there too. These gun companies, like the latest was Wilson Combat, they make really good 1911s. They're refusing to sell to those governments that are anti-gun and putting out laws to take weapons away from citizens. We need a lot more of that. I like to see Colt, Smith & Wesson, and a lot of these bigger companies do that as well. But go look this up. You'll see what I'm talking about. This whole thing with Rand Paul, as you may have gathered from when I talked about it before, I think they gave up too easy, the Senate did. They should have rocked the executive branch. You know, the president is the executor of the board of directors, which is Congress. And they should rip him right now. Totally rip him. But it shows you that there's this lack of willingness in the balance of powers in the government to do something. And I'm telling you, they've been bought off. Okay? Rand Paul, like I said, and a few of those other senators stood up. But I wish they had gone further, because they really need to. We might see some things happen over the next little while, but I don't know. But just think about it. They refuse to flex their muscle granted to them by the Constitution. Real problem there. I also want to talk about something that I'm looking at right now. I believe the 10th Special Forces has moved to Utah. I'm going to do some study on this. I'd like you to do the same and ask yourself why. These elitist forces have not just a propaganda purpose or an assistance purpose or to overcome, you know, unconventional warfare problems. They also are used to shape policy. So I'll just leave it there, something to look at. I'd like you to do that. Now, there's another situation going on that was mentioned in the New York Times today, and it's about the president of Afghanistan, Karzai. And you might be laughing, you know, oh, the guy's just, you know, he's just causing trouble. Do you know what he said today? How often have I told you in the past that the CIA actually, and other intelligence services, actually control Al-Qaeda? Well, here we go. Now we've got, you know, Karzai admitting the same thing, saying that the Taliban and the U.S. government are in bed together, in cahoots together, to cause these bombings to keep the military-industrial complex in Afghanistan. And guess how much the poppy production, the opium production, has increased in Afghanistan? What it is at now? It used to be 10% of the world's production. It's now at 90% or more. And we're there. Remember Panama? Remember the Golden Triangle? Look these things up. All right. And then finally, I thought I'd bring this up. You know, I mentioned that silly thing about, you know, goats being able to weave spider webs. That's a real joke, isn't it? It just shows you I'm out of my mind. Go look it up. It's real. It's called genetic manipulation, and they're doing it on many species. This is very dangerous. But I thought I'd leave that at the end. And guess who brought this up at the South by Southwest show down in Texas? Al Gore. And you should go read that story. But he actually says there are goats that can weave spider webs. All right? It's pretty amazing. He also said something else, and I'm still trying to figure it out. He said, our government has been hacked, and the Constitution is the operating system. Huh. I'm not sure what he meant by that, knowing who he is. But my bet is that he's just throwing a little tidbit at us here to see how we'll react. Our government has been hacked. And the Constitution is the operating system. Do you know what happens when you hack into a computer? Not only can you steal information, but you can download viruses into the operating system so that it fails to function properly. Something to think about. There's no goat that spins a spider web. Go look it up.